Have you ever stopped to think about what connects, say, the food on your plate, the DNA that makes you, well, you, and even the clothes you're wearing right now? Today, we're going to dive deep into the microscopic world to uncover these incredible giant molecules that build literally everything.
Okay, so let's just jump right in with a question. What on earth could a potato, your own DNA, and a simple rubber band possibly have in common? I know, it sounds like the setup for a really weird joke, but I promise you, there is an absolutely fascinating scientific connection here.
And that connection, well, that brings us to our first section, the biggest small things. We're about to uncover the secret that ties all those seemingly random things together. And here it is. The answer is macromolecules. The name kind of gives it away, right? Macro means large, so they are literally large molecules. And that's exactly what they are, these enormous molecules built from smaller, repeating units, which we call monomers. They are the absolute structural and functional foundation of, well, all living things. You know, the easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think of them like nature's Legos. Seriously. They're these tiny building blocks that construct not just the world inside of you, we're talking your muscles, your genes, the whole shebang, but also a huge part of the world around you. So how are these massive chains actually built? It's a process called polymerization. It's actually pretty straightforward. You start with those simple individual units, the monomers, then chemical bonds start linking them together, one after another, like beads on a string. This forms a long, repeating chain, and that chain is called a polymer. And a macromolecule? That's really just a very, very big polymer. Okay, that brings us to our next part, life's 4 key players. See, in biology, there are 4 main types of macromolecules that are just absolutely essential. So, let's meet the team. All right, here they are, life's A team. First, you've got your carbohydrates, which are built from monosaccharides. Then there are proteins, made from amino acids. Nucleic acids come from nucleotides. And then you've got lipids. Now, these guys are a little different. They aren't technically polymers in that same strict repeating unit way. But we group them here because they're also huge molecules, and they share a really key property. They're hydrophobic. That just means they hate water. So let's break down what each of these players actually does. First up to bat, we have the energy providers, carbohydrates. I want you to think of carbs as the high-octane fuel for your cells. They are the #1 quick-access source of energy for your body. Remember that potato from our opening question? Well, the starch in it is a perfect example of a carbohydrate. Your body breaks that down into glucose, and boom, instant energy. All right, next on our list are the absolute workhorses of the cell, proteins. Seriously, if carbs are the fuel, then proteins are the workers. They are incredibly versatile. I mean, they do pretty much everything, from building your hair to making your muscles contract. But check this out. There's a protein called hemoglobin that acts like a tiny little delivery driver, zipping through your blood, grabbing oxygen from your lungs, and dropping it off to every single cell in your body. I mean, without that, we couldn't function. Proteins are just essential for almost everything. Okay, moving on, let's talk about the barriers and the long-term batteries of your body. Lipids. So, the defining feature of lipids is that they're hydrophobic, right? They do not mix with water. And this one unique trait makes them absolutely perfect for forming the protective barriers around all of our cells, our cell membranes. They're basically the bouncers at the club, deciding who gets in and who stays out. On top of that, they're responsible for producing crucial hormones, and they act as our body's long-term energy storage. And finally, we come to probably the most famous macromolecule of them all, nucleic acids. This, my friends, is literally the blueprint for life itself. We're talking about DNA and RNA. DNA, of course, is the master blueprint. It stores all of your unique genetic information. Then its partner, RNA, comes in and acts like a project manager. It reads those blueprints and uses the instructions to build all those proteins we were just talking about. Together, they control everything from heredity to every single function happening inside your cells right now. So we've seen how these amazing molecules build life. But what's truly incredible is how we humans learn to copy nature's playbook. And in this next section, we're going to see exactly how we took these principles, from our genes to our genes. It's pretty amazing, really. Humans figured out how to mimic this natural polymerization process, and the results have been a total game changer. To make synthetic fibers, chemists basically mix together specific monomers, spin that gooey substance into long threads, and then let those threads harden into the materials we all know and wear every day. Think nylon or spandex.
And this comparison really shows you the two sides of the same coin. On one side, you have nature's own masterpieces, right? Things like cotton and wool. And on the other, you have the synthetic powerhouses that we cook up in a lab, like nylon and polyester. But at their core, they're both polymers, just with different origins.
And it goes way beyond just fibers. Synthetic macromolecules are absolute industrial powerhouses. I mean, plastics on everywhere. In the phone you're holding, the bottle you drink from, the computer you're using, and then you have elastomers. Those are the super stretchy ones. And that, right there, brings us full circle. Back to the rubber band from our very first question. Its amazing ability to stretch out and snap right back into shape is all thanks to its unique macromolecular structure.
Wow, okay, so we have covered a lot of ground, from the DNA inside of us to the rubber bands on our desks. So let's bring it all home in our final section, Why They Matter.
So after all of that, what's the big takeaway? If you remember just one thing from this explainer, what should it be?
It really comes down to this. Macromolecules aren't just important, they are the absolute foundation of our existence. Think about it. Without them, there's no energy storage, no tissue growth, no repair, no way to pass on genetic information, no regulated chemical reactions, not even a basic structure for our cells. Life, as we know it, would simply not be possible.
And that really leaves us with this one powerful idea. Macromolecules, they aren't just some topic you have to memorize for an exam. They are the molecular foundation of life itself, and they're the building blocks of our entire modern industry. So the next time you eat a meal, stretch a rubber band, or pull on a shirt, maybe you'll remember the incredible, powerful, microscopic story that's happening behind the scenes.